Hi, I'm Matt,
I'm Craig,
and welcome to Dice Smash TV.
So today we'll be playing Battle Plan 4 from General's Handbook 22-23 Season 2, Hours for the Taking. And victory points are scored as follows. So score 1 victory point if you control your home objective, score 1 victory point if you control the centre objective, score 2 victory points if you control the enemy's home objective, score 1 victory point if you control the centre objective and that objective is contested by a friendly Galatian champion, score 2 victory points if you completed the battle tactic you picked this turn.
So today I am bringing Nighthaunt with the sub-faction the Emerald Host. My grand strategy is dismantle the Brave, so I'll be looking to take out Craig's general, no doubt, with the highest bravery, although he is taking Skaven, so yeah, I think all rats are relatively cowardly, aren't they? My triumph for today will be inspired, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get that yet. We'll find out in a minute after we've heard Craig's list. So my army today fits almost entirely into one drop. So I've taken a battle regiment, and then there will be a few individual drops after that. So inside the battle regiment, we've got the Guardian of Souls with the spells Shade Mist. We've got the Cruelgas Cruciator, who is my general. He has the command trait Cloaked in Shadow, along with the artifact of Power Arcane Tome, so we've got an extra wizard. And the spell I've given him is the Seal of Shaiish, and he has then also got the aspect of the champion Stubborn as a Rhinox, so he will count as 10 on an objective. Joining them, there's also a Spirit Torment, who'll be running up behind them, regenerating lots of my units. Then my battle line for today is 2 units of Hex Wraiths, so I can run up the board and jam Craig's army in, and some Spirit Hosts to try and take some of those wounds away. Then also within that battle regiment, I've got a Black Coach with a Reaper Scythe, some Bladegeist Revenants, and some Mirmorn Banshees. And then just outside of those, I've got the Craven Throne Guard. This is a reinforced unit, ready to drop down and spit some arrows at Craig, and then Lady Olinda herself. I've given her the Spectral Tether in the hope that I might be able to teleport her around the board, maybe even fling out the new Realm spell to cause some damage.
So my grand strategy is The Day is Ours and Triumph as Indomitable. And in the Skaven list, I have a Clawlord as my general with the command trait Powerful Alpha, the artifact Warpstone Charm, and the aspect of the champion Leadership of the Alpha. We have a Deathmaster, a Warlock Engineer with the spell More Warp Power, a Grey Seer with the spell Death Frenzy, a Plague Priest with the prayer Rabid, and Slink Skittershank. Then as battle line we have 2 units of twice reinforced Plague Monks, we have 3 units of 5 Gutter Runners, artillery we have 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, we have Skittershank's Claw Pack. So this force fits into the following 3 battalions. We have a Battle Regiment, a Command Entourage, and a Galatian Sharpshooter Battalion. And this comes in at 1,990 points.
So I won the roll-off to start deploying first, and I put my Craven Throne Guard into the Underworld. Craig followed this up by putting a number of his Gutter Runners, also hiding away, getting ready to come on at a later turn. Then deployed Lady Olinda to push up the left-hand flank towards Craig's home objective, and Craig then matched this by putting the rest of his army sort of down and preparing to meet me head on. At this point, I decided that the Grey Seer was going to be the target of my grand strategy, dismantle the Brave, so I was going to be trying to remove that Grey Seer as quickly as possible whilst keeping my general alive. I then rolled for the Emerald Curse and was fortunate enough to be able to put the curse onto both Warp Lightning Cannons and the Grey Seer. Craig then rolled for his Warpstone Sparks and was able to get 5 lovely pouches of that lovely glowy dust that we know rats are quite accustomed to. So the Nighthaunt finished deploying first, and so got to choose whether or not they went first or second, and I did take first turn. The battle lines are close enough that I was really concerned that the Skaven would do untold amounts of damage if I didn't get something done quickly. So again, I went straight for it. My battle tactic for the first turn was Cunning Maneuver, and the Cunning Maneuver involves you picking a friendly Galatian champion on the battlefield that's more than 3 inches away from an enemy unit. I then complete the battle tactic if at the end of the turn that Galatian champion is more than 3 inches away from all enemy units and is contesting an objective that I control completely outside my territory. So it's a difficult one, but I think in this scenario I've got enough stuff in the middle of the board that I should be able to do this. My heroic action for this turn, I decided to try and get an additional command point, which I was successful at. Craig then attempted the same, but those rats were clearly too busy worrying about these floating bedsheets in front of them and they failed. I then moved into my hero phase proper and tried to cast the realm spell Grinding Teeth, which Craig dispelled straight away. He clearly didn't want all of the models on his home objective getting annihilated by mortal wounds. Lady Olinda then tried to cast Grief Stricken, but failed this time. I think she was a bit upset about getting dispelled on the previous spell. The Crawlgas Crusader was successful in casting Seal of Shaiish on the Blade Geist, then Shade Mist got cast onto the Hex Wraiths by the Guardian of Souls. On to the movement phase, Lady O and the Spirit Host moved right up the flank, getting right in front of Craig's army on his home objective. Then we had the first unit of Hex Wraiths run right up the centre board and sit in front of Craig's army. The second unit run out to the side of the board, again screening off. And then everything else started to move up in towards the middle of the board, really making sure that I was going to be causing Craig quite a few issues. The Black Coach teleported right up in range of Craig's army on the left flank, ready to start absorbing some of those souls. And the Craven Throne Guard teleported in behind sort of enemy lines, ready to start dropping some arrows into Craig's forces. Onto the Nighthaunt shooting phase. It started really well with Lady Olinda failing to lift the veil, so no one was frightened away by what was beneath those frightening robes. The crossbows went for all-out attack, which the Plague Monks then opposite them went for all-out defense. Lady O tried to stop that with her ability, being the Mortar for Grief, but it again didn't work. She was not feeling herself at this point. The crossbows opened up and killed 8 of the Plague Monks, and in the process of doing that they actually charged the Black Coach up, which then was able to turn around and do another 4 mortal wounds onto the cannon that was nearest to it. In the charge phase, Lady Olinda and the Spirit Host both charged in to the Plague Monks in front of them, and in the process dropped their armour considerably, killed 10 and recharged the coach. But in return, the Spirit Host took 3 mortal wounds back. Luckily, because of the discorporating abilities of the Nighthaunt, only 2 of those wounds were actually taken. The Plague Monks in return managed to kill 1 Spirit Host, so due to Battle Shock the rest of the unit ran away as Craig was unable to use Inspiring Presence due to the terrified rule of the Nighthaunt, so they were just too scared of those bedsheets. At the end of this turn, I was holding all of the objectives including the home objective, and in addition was actually controlling the centre objective with a Galician champion, leaving me on 7 points at the end of turn 1.
So in the Skaven turn, I went for the battle tactic Eye for an Eye, and we both attempted heroic leadership. Nighthaunt successfully, Skaven not so much. My engineer consumes a Warpstone Spark to reroll his casting and unbinding, casts more warp power on the Rattling Gun, and in the process takes 2 mortal wounds. My Grey Seer casts Death Frenzy on the Plague Monks. My Plague Priest then successfully prays for Pestilence, dealing no mortal wounds to the Spirit Hosts, and Lady O saves 2 and passes 1 onto the Spirit Hosts. So onto the movement phase, and the army generally pushes up the board to meet the Nighthaunt advance. Slink and his pack deploy 6 inches away from Lady O, and then we have the 3 units of 5 Gutter Runners all dropping in behind the enemy lines. So onto the shooting phase, and the engineer consumes a Warpstone Spark and passes the test. The Gutter Runners shoot the Spirit Torments, dealing 2 wounds, and the other 5 Gutter Runners shoot the Torments as well, dealing 1 more wound. Slink's pack shoots Lady O, dealing 2 wounds, who pass them onto the Spirit Host. The Rattling Gun releases its gimbal limiter and shoots the Hex Wraiths. Rolls a 14 with no doubles, so survives. With 17 attacks, he deals 1 damage to the Hex Wraiths. The first Warp Lightning Cannon overcharges with a power roll of 1, dealing 8 mortal wounds to the Hex Wraith and 4 to itself. The second cannon overcharges with a power roll of 3. Lady O takes 1 wound and passes 1 on to the Spirit Hosts, killing the last one. The engineer shoots the last Hex Wraith but fails to do any damage. Charge phase. The Claw Pack attempt to charge Lady O and fail, but spend a command point to re-roll that and make that on a 6. Slink also attempts to charge in, rolls a 6 but can't get to within an inch of Lady O, so fails that one. The Claw Lord makes the charge, but the crossbows unleash hell and deal 2 mortal wounds onto him. The gutter runners roll a 9 and charge the spirit torment, with the other unit of gutter runners also rolling a 9 and charges the guardian of souls. The plague monks fail a charge, rolling a 3. Onto the combat phase, the claw pack deals 3 wounds to Lady O, who attacks back, killing all but one of the claw pack and leaving the last one on 1 wound. The gutter runners fail to do any damage to the spirit torment. The guardian of soul kills 4 gutter runners. The last of those gutter runners fails to deal any damage to the guardian of souls. The spirit torment fails to cause any damage to the gutter runners. The claw lord goes all out attack on Lady O, but fails to cause any damage. The banshees kill 2 gutter runners, and the bladegeist kills the last gutter runner. Onto the battle shock phase. 3 remaining gutter runners pass the battle shock test on a 1, and the claw pack passes on a 2. The emerald curse deals 3 wounds to the grey seer and none to the cannon. So at the end of the turn, we achieved the battle tactic eye for an eye and held 1 objective for 3 points.
So that was a painful turn. Lady Olinda has been felled temporarily. Onto the roll-off for turn 2, and fortunately the Nighthaunt took the turn and there was no way they were handing it off to those filthy Skaven. In the hero phase, the Spirit Torment attempted heroic recovery and was able to heal for 3. The Claw Lord attempted the same and managed to heal a little bit. He's still not feeling particularly healthy though. In the hero phase, again, Shade Mist was once again cast onto the Black Coach, and then the Seal of Shades this time onto the Crawlgrass Cruciator. The army started to move up the board a little bit, and it was at this point I actually made a fatal error and moved the Crawlgrass Cruciator and the rest of the heroes off that centre objective, so whilst I still held it, I wasn't holding it with a Galician champion anymore. This is going to come back to bite me in a minute. In the shooting phase, the Black Coach caused 8 mortal wounds onto the Deathmaster and made him very dead. The Crawlgrass Cruciator fired his shots into the Plague Breast and removed those 3 remaining wounds. The crossbows went with all-out attack and shot at the Claw Lord, who once again went all-out defence, and somehow the Claw Lord survived. In the charge phase, the crossbows decided to charge into the Claw Lord, and the coach charged into the Warlock Engineer, successfully causing him to have to strike last. The crossbows do a total of no wounds onto the Claw Lord. The Warlock Engineer decides to take one of those lovely Warpstone snacks and managed to overload for a total of 6 attacks, but does absolutely no damage. The Claw Lord also tries to attack, using all that attack, but nothing happens. It was a really underwhelming combat phase from that end, but the Black Coach does then smash the Engineer from the board, smears him along the wheels, and sucks up his soul ready to shoot back at them in a later turn. So at the end of that turn, the Nighthaunt score an additional 6 points, unfortunately not the 7 because I did move off that objective, but bringing us up to a total of 13.
So on to the Skaven turn. My battle tactic is desecrate their lands, and we roll for and get an extra command point. The Engineer consumes a Warpstone Spark and uses his accumulator to cast Warp Lightning into the Hex Wraiths, dealing 5 wounds. The Greyseer fails to cast Death Frenzy. So into the movement phase, and whilst what remained of my army moved forwards, the unit of Gutter Runners remained behind enemy lines to get my battle tactic. The cannon overloads and kills 2 Revenants, but also deals 6 mortal wounds to itself, taking it off the board. The 3 Gutter Runners deal 2 wounds to the Spirit Torment, and the unit of 5 Gutter Runners deals 4 wounds to the Banshees, finishing them off. The Rattling Gun again releases its gimbal limiter and shoots 23 attacks into the Bladegeist, deals no damage and kills itself. Slink shoots the crossbows and deals no damage. Into the charge phase, and the Plague Monks charge the Black Coach and the Bladegeists, and Slink charges the crossbows but dies to unleash hell. And in the combat phase, the 4 Plague Monks deal 3 wounds to the coach, and the rest of the Plague Monks kill 7 Bladegeists. The Spirit Torment kills 2 Gutter Runners, and the coach kills 12 Plague Monks. 6 of the Plague Monks burst after dying and finish off the Bladegeists. 11 monks burst, but deal no damage to the coach. The Guardian of Souls kills the last gutter runner. In the battle shock phase, the remaining plague monks are terrified and run to battle shock. So in what was another difficult round for the Skaven, we held one objective for 1 point and we achieved our battle tactic, scoring 3 points overall.
So it was at this point that we realised there wasn't a lot left on the table for the Skaven, so we decided to call it a day. So a victory for the Nighthaunt. Craig, how did you feel your list went in that game?
I feel like I had the tools to do better than I did. I think I made some bad decisions with the gutter runners. I think I was trying to make use of the sharpshooter battalion and get rid of some heroes instead of perhaps playing for the points. So yeah, could have done better. I'm still happy with the list.
It was a scary list, and those gutter runners definitely gave me a headache. How do you feel when Lady Olinda was right up in your face, turn 1?
I knew it was going to happen, but I think I just didn't want to believe it really. It's always terrifying, I think it's that the army in general, it's so offensive, you get up the board so quickly, and when you have someone like Lady O who can just sort of bomb down the field and delete stuff without reply, that's always a worry.
I think one of the things as well that your army struggled with was the fact that I was ignoring a lot of your rend.
Yes.
So as much as you were trying to dish out, I was just ignoring it.
Yeah, because a lot of my buffs are, the 60 plague monks who on a 6 have -2 rend that doesn't do anything. So that's a massive ability for that unit. Then it's obsolete. But I tried to make up for that with mortal wounds, which did work. Did work to sort of good effect. Places.
And how did you find the Hex race blocking in half of your army for that first turn, sort of preventing you from even getting out of deployment?
Yeah, well, again, it's so offensive, isn't it? One of the things I think about my list is having, I think I'm like an 11 drop list or something ridiculous like that. So, against armies like the Nighthaunt, where they can easily block me in, taking first turn, yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah, so that's it from us today, guys. This is only the first of what will be many battle reports in the future. Let us know if you like this different format, if you like these short, snappy ones, or if you prefer to see something a bit longer. But yeah, we'll see you soon.
Cheers.